Howdy, howdy, fellow rootin' tootin' and darn shootin' patriots alike. It's your friendly neighborhood cowboy Maximon HR here yet again to... What are you doing? Oh, I'm just trying something. Well, it's not working, so stop. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, well, it was stupid. It was stupid. I was just feeling... You wouldn't get it, other Max. Well, hang on. What's got you down, buddy? You know you can always talk to me. Well, I was just scrolling through my old subscriptions for my other accounts, and I just came across this guy I used to love watching, and... Alt-right pipeline stuff? It's like you can read my mind. It's this guy I used to watch, because I like his sword videos. It was before I figured out where I sit politically. You figured that out? Oh, whatever. Anyway, it just sucks, because he's Australian, and... Wait, Hank, hold on. You're not talking about Shadiversity, are you? The Mormon sword YouTuber guy who wrote that awful book about a space pirate serial rapist who decides that being a bad person sucks only because his people turned on him, then ran around pretending to be his own son, courting a romance with one of his past child sex slaves. Whoa. He's Mormon? That's your issue here. Doesn't make any sense. The Church of Latter-day Saints is an attempt to Americanize Christianity, arguing that Jesus was born in the United States again, amongst other very absurdly racist things. What appeal does that have to an Australian guy? Forget all that. You can't go and change your whole identity to an American cowboy just because some YouTuber makes you uncomfortable that you share the same nationality. If anything, you should lean into the Spanish thing. It's sexier. Well, what do I do, other Max? Well, remember last time you had an issue with an Aussie YouTuber? What'd you do then? Did you bitch about it to your friends and spend way too much time obsessing over it for no personal benefit? Yeah. Yes! And then what did you do? You made a video about it. And you felt better. So go do that. And stop that stupid accent. You sound like a fucking idiot. I'm gonna start locking that door.
Sausalito, turkey, honey, ham, and salami. Pepperoni, provolone, pastrami.
Yes, indeed, you bloody righteous bastards. I am back at it again. And, you know, today I'm gonna be talking about something that I care about. I never do that. You know, I never talk about things that I want to talk about. Well, on this channel, it's so crazy. But we're going to talk about art today. I love it. You love it. Everybody loves art. And even if they think they don't, they do. Because let's be real. We have video games, paintings, illustration, whatever you can think of. Storytelling, for that matter, is a form of art. Everybody loves it. We're all big art fans in this big, beautiful world of ours. And who doesn't love paintings? You know, we've got the Renaissance period, artists like Van Gogh. And what about sculptures? What about that one toilet bowl that keeps pissing off all the art stops to this day? Isn't that funny? I think it's pretty funny, personally. That's right, everybody loves art. And that includes today's video subject, today's subject, Shad M. Brooks. Now, you might have heard of this guy before. He runs this channel called Shadiversity. Now, for those of you uninitiated, Shadiversity is an Australian YouTube channel, again, run by Shad M. Brooks, where the host, Shad, reviews and discusses swords and swordplay and things like that. And me personally, I used to be a huge fan of this guy. I mean, you look at my room in the background. I have a sword hanging up back there. I've got Cloud's Buster sword over there that I'm not going to grab because it's really heavy. I'll put up a photo of me holding it like here. But Shad is also a published author. He's also a brother to an immensely talented artist known otherwise as Jazza Draws. And he's got a channel that, you know, where he just does some drawing and stuff like that, teaches you some art tutorials. I don't watch him all that much personally, just because I don't watch a lot of art YouTube in general, which I really should. If I'm going to be part of the arts community, I should give more voice to those kinds of channels. So I'm going to be leaving a link to Jazza Draws channel in the description of this video because I love it so much. But with that being said, he's an immensely talented artist. Like, he's so good. To what I was saying, Shadiversity focuses on medieval martial arts, basically. So that's your sword play, that's your sort of martial arts of the time, that kind of thing. And as mentioned before, he's big into specifically swords, and also a lot of European history and folklore and that kind of thing. Nix the evil rabbits biting off the heads of Arthur's knights. He recently published his own book, known as Shadow of the Conqueror. I'm pretty sure there's a longer title after that. I can't remember it. Everfall, something like that. And that's a really impressive thing to do. Like, if you've ever tried publishing a book, or if you know someone who has, or if you have any idea into the world of publishing your own stuff, it's super difficult, especially get it published in like a mainstream format, not just putting it online, but getting that on Audible, getting that into physical bookstores. That's a really great feat. Unfortunately, it's terrible. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything I've ever written is great. It's just objectively not. We've all seen the Sigma video, you know? But I'm just going to leave it at, good for you. Good for you for getting that published and getting that out there. But also, I think if you're going to publish your first book, you have to be ready for the pretty obvious likelihood that it's going to suck, or it's not going to be your best work. It's the first one. It's okay that it's pretty crap. I published a webcomic before. It's terrible, I know that, but you know, that's fine, because you just use the criticism you get and what you learn from that one to improve your writing in the future, you know? It's not that deep. And at the end of the day, you still got the book out. Isn't that cool? Like, is that not cool? I think that's pretty damn cool. So that's basically his whole deal. And I remember I used to be just massively into the guy, like I've mentioned so many times. Just a grown man, having fun, being silly, just dicking around in the backyard with a couple of swords, you know, just having a fun time. I thought that was just simultaneously the funniest and coolest thing ever, you know. I've always thought swords were really cool, and I always found him fairly interesting. And I think what really drew him to that was he always managed to keep a very tight lid on keeping his content apolitical. As in, he stated this outright in plenty of videos, where he might be a conservative guy. I wasn't, never really have been. But he's always just been able to keep his channel to the sort of metric where anyone can come and watch. Whether you agree with his personal views, whether you are still figuring out those personal views, or whether you disagree vehemently. It's not about any of that. It's about coming in and watching some guy play with some swords. Now, unfortunately, in recent years, that facade has kind of started to slip. You see, Shad is what we in the business call a balls-deep conservative. If you ever watched his podcast channel, The Night's Watch, you know what I'm talking about. The man is exactly the kind of guy to harp on about the culture war crap that's currently going on and has been going on for too long, I'll say, too long. The kind of person who would complain about Peach wearing pants in the Mario movie trailer, not even the movie, just the trailer, saying that that makes Mario too woke. But the TLDR is, he's drunk the Kool-Aid, he's a Bible-thumping, balls-deep, screaming from the mountaintop Mormon freaking conservative for Alma the Younger's sake. And if we're gonna get into the misdeeds of the Church of Latter-day Saints, we'd be here for hours. And I'm not gonna put you through that, because you're my little Pookie Bear, you're my little princess, and I love you. So, I think the thing with Shad is that I was already kind of disappointed to learn about some of his views, and also the fact that the HEMA community, which is the historical European martial arts community, has pretty much disavowed his channel as being full of misinformation, which is really genuinely kind of upsetting. But the thing that really kind of disappoints me is how he's just gone on a full deep dive into plugging AI art. I'm going to put art in quotation marks, really obvious ones. For those of you who might not really know, AI art, again, massive quotation marks, utilizes a process in which a user types in a prompt and an algorithm scours through a database to generate an image in a close approximation to what the prompter has prompted in for the AI. The big problem that most artists, like myself, have with this method is that that database is filled to the brim with stolen artwork, or at the very least artwork that has not been properly claimed under fair use laws. So in essence, you are using the work of other people, scrounging it together and crumpling it up into what amounts to a fairly mediocre image. Let's be honest, if you've ever seen one AI image, you've seen them all. They all look pretty Like, there's just no soul, there's no life in them. In Shad's case, he uses the AI generation method to generate quite a lot of images of his wife's face on top of Supergirl's body, which is super weird for a couple of reasons. One being that now his wife's face is just in that database, so, you know. And two, Supergirl is typically depicted at about 16 years of age, which, that's weird. I feel like Wonder Woman's up there, you know. That could be an option for you. Superwoman will be up there. You could do the most recent showing from Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow. Great story, really like it. And in that one, she's portrayed as 21. That's pretty cool. But we always want that 16-year-old, don't we, Shad? That's a bit sussy-wussy. And I'd steer clear, personally. Like, do whatever you want. Like, I can't stop you. It's just, I feel like this is a part of your personal life you don't really want to advertise as much as you think you do. But in other words, to summarize, it's art theft. And as much as you can argue kind of against that, that's blatantly what it boils down to. And leaving out the business side of things, I think in terms of personal use and profitability, it's got questionable ethics at the best. Not to mention that once you actually do get the end result, it's often got crappy lighting, just weird hands and posing. Everything's very stiff and soulless, like I keep saying. You can always tell that a human being didn't make this because a human being wouldn't make this. And I think to top it all off, the thing that pisses a lot of artists off about AI art is that they are making a similar model for music generation, but what they've done is they've got volunteered music or copyright-free and royalty-free tracks that they're using pretty much exclusively. So in that regard, they've proven that they had the ability to use only volunteered and royalty-free and non-copyrightable artwork or images through this service, and instead they decided against it. And you know they only did so for the music industry because it's the goddamn music industry. The point being, they saw an opportunity to make a quick buck, essentially, off of the backs of millions of hardworking and talented artists and individuals. And they didn't give it a second thought because they knew most of us aren't able to fight back. So Shad's promotion of this is, to say the least, frustrating. But anyway, I'm getting carried away. This is supposed to be a video about Shad. The Big Man put out a video about a month ago titled, "A Love Letter to AI Art, You Don't Need to Be Afraid." It's weird that he put a lowercase I in there instead of a capital I, but that's not a very big deal. And the title itself is super patronizing, gotta love that. And judging by the like to dislike ratio, I'm in for a fun time. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna switch over to some Wolfenstein gameplay, because I've been playing that a bunch, and I need something that's not gonna make me lose my goddamn mind. Fuck me. Let's get this over with. I'm so fine. I'm so great.
Art is very important to me. Ever since I was a very young child, my imagination would run wild, creating characters and stories and worlds. And art has always been a profoundly important part of me bringing those worlds into greater reality. It started off with drawing, and that's a passion I still have to this day. Creating new characters and depicting the worlds and stories I love to immerse myself in.
So we see a bunch of Shad's character design work on display here, and honestly, it's not all terrible. His characters are animated and have unique concepts, accounting for stiff poses and some pretty wonky anatomy, but that can mostly be chalked up to a design choice. The female designs all have some pretty weird titties, but I can't expect a Mormon to be an expert in drawing female anatomy, and honestly, shit's hard for a cis guy to draw. We won't usually develop breasts, so overall, not too bad.
It was a great revelation to me later on in life. It wasn't actually the physical, mechanical movement of drawing that I was actually enjoying, but it was the creation of something.
I don't mean to pause so much, but I just want to point that line out. It's interesting because in a separate video, Shad actually expresses that he can draw, but just dislikes the process of drawing, which is honestly alien to me, but I'm biased, clearly. I wonder then if it's less that you dislike the drawing, Shad, and more that you're self-conscious about your finished products? If so, that's fine. Most artists aren't at the level of skill they want to be, but that comes with time, practice, and patience. No one was born with talent, simply a specialized interest and a passion they honed into a skill. And like I said, these are far from the worst drawings I've ever seen. In fact, I'd say that for the most part, they're pretty good. You just need a little work on dynamism and really nailing down the style of your anatomy. The unfortunate truth, which we'll see in a bit, is that Shad is the kind of guy who only really cares about the end product and not the process, which is antithetical to the mindset of an artist. How are you supposed to get better if you don't practice? Besides, you could try painting, which I personally find way easier for certain art pieces, especially landscapes and fantasy. But again, Shad doesn't want to get better at art, he already wants to be better. He wants to click a button and the work is already done, which honestly is a sucky way to go about making art. Where's the fun? And as we'll get to, you're removing yourself from the creation of an entirely creative process. I'm also going to skip forward a bit here because God knows he goes on and on. Shad, you're a writer. You'd think you'd have developed some skills in brevity by now. But to summarize, he discusses his introduction to digital inking and coloring through scanning your sketch images onto a computer to touch up line work and colors, and how this isn't considered cheating, skipping the obvious point that he scanned the images into his computer and then he inked and colored the piece himself. You did it, Shad. You didn't hand it off to an algorithm, you did it yourself.
So as you can imagine, any technology that grants this same benefit, I am very, very interested in, hence my interest in AI art generators. Many people view this new technology as something that robs people of their artistic pursuit and potential. What I see is the exact opposite. Indeed, far from robbing artistic expression, when you approach it with intent, having a specific vision in your mind that you want to achieve, it can enable you to bring that vision into a level of reality, detail, and beauty than you might ever have been able to do without it.
I think just looking at the images side by side sort of illustrates my issues here. There is no correlation between the styles of either drawing, and while Shad may want a finished piece akin to the image on the right, he lacks the skills to make it so. And honestly, that's for the better. Any skilled artist can see the flaws here, but I'd wager the average eye can see it too. See how the head is an uncanny valley photorealistic style, and the rest of the body is simply a hyper-realized cartoon, oddly coloured with the same proportions, emphasizing the strange and unsettling nature of what is supposed to be a silly cartoon girl. Shad's artistic expression has been robbed from the piece entirely, but the AI can't entirely remove the foundations. Unfortunately, Shad's pieces here don't conform naturally to photorealism, so an already pretty garbage AI image looks even more unnatural and amateurish.
And I'm not kidding in this. I am an artist. I've developed a very keen eye for proportion and detail, and I have applied that in every artistic pursuit in whatever medium I'm using.
Alright, I'll stop with the sound effect, but I've already covered the proportion issues here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've nailed proportion, because that shit's hard. And the slightest inch on either arms or legs can sometimes ruin what otherwise would be a really good piece. It sucks to say, but I'm also not sitting here telling you I have an eye for proportion. Ridiculous. On top of this, you're not the one making corrections and adjusting those proportions, an algorithm is doing so based on the correct proportions of the human body, hence why it's also not very good at perspective, and hence why it doesn't fit with your style. Your example of showing off a rendered 3D model kingdom is fine insofar as you aren't using it to profit off of stolen assets, but even looking at the background, there's clear issues, like why is the land so weirdly sectioned the way it is? The way it unnaturally bleeds into itself. Very odd. You're claiming credit for the shoddy work of an AI.
There are many people who use AI art who have seen my images that I've made with this technology and have literally asked, how on earth do I produce these results? They see a difference in the quality that I'm able to achieve versus the quality that they have been able to achieve.
The only real noticeable difference in quality here is the face, and that's because you've trained the AI on your wife's real face, which I again really hope she consented to, because this algorithm now has her face in its internal database, so anyone can use that to make whatever they want. Otherwise, it's the same AI dreck that it always regurgitates. Hyper-realistic, soulless, stiff pose and inconsistently lighted thievery.
And the answer is, I'm applying every single talent I have developed in multiple mediums in my pursuit and love of art to this medium as well. AI art generators are not a replacement of artists. In actual fact, it can be one of the most profound and incredible tools for artists. Artists will simply be able to make the very best AI art.
The argument for artists utilizing AI is actually kind of an interesting one. There was an article where a guy used the software to generate an image of himself getting punched out by Muhammad Ali, except he didn't just use the image, he repurposed it using the generation as a basis, and then creating his own work from the piece through rigorous editing and actual artistic skill. The big problem I have with Shad here is he's using arguments that would suggest he is some renowned fantastic artist, but being able to spot whether an image sucks or doesn't isn't indicative of artistic talent. It's indicative of having eyes. Shad isn't repurposing an image or getting a basis and then doing a drawing or sketch or painting based off of that image. He's just making tiny touch-ups and feeding it back into an algorithm, which we'll see later.
But when that is done, it's actually not AI art. The AI art generator is not doing all the work, far, far from it. When I make my AI art, I am in full control with a specific vision in my mind that I'm working towards. And as a result, this isn't made by just the AI, it's made by me using the tool of AI to achieve the specific vision that I have in my mind. This is AI-assisted art. Just like Photoshop is digitally assisted art, although it includes many AI processes that enables people to cut corners, make shortcuts, achieve goals much easier and quicker, that many people don't want to acknowledge that they are using in their own digital art, but criticizing the exact same type of use and methodology that is actually present in AI art generation.
This is a false equivalency, flat out. Any and every assisted tool utilized in Photoshop, for example, is one within the full control or confines of the original piece. It's not generating anything not found in the original image or not based in the original image. The only exception may be being that AI background remover tool, but even then, you're consenting to its use directly, and its only reference is the background you have selected from the image you provided, as opposed to scrubbing a database of stolen artwork. I need to speed this up, I don't want to make you watch 30 minutes of AI apologia, and I feel like I'm covering the same ground over and over again here.
So to demonstrate this process, we are going to be making an image of one of my favorite fictional characters, Supergirl. I had a big crush on Supergirl growing up and have a lot of nostalgic connection for this character, and what I love to do is to depict my wife as Supergirl because that's who she is. She is my Supergirl. She's the most beautiful creature in the world to me, and so I love making art of my wife. She is my muse, and I particularly love depicting her in the way that I see her.
I can respect the angle that you want to depict your wife as your superhero, and it's kinda cute honestly, but it is weird with the obsession with Supergirl. I get it, it's a fictional character, but it's a fictional character typically depicted as 16 to 19 years old at the oldest. The oldest I can think of her being depicted is, like I mentioned earlier, in Woman of Tomorrow, which again, great read, where she's 21, but even then, that's not the usual depiction. And let's be serious, you're talking about the younger version, and when you're using an AI reference, you're not using that reference model, you're using 16-year-old Supergirl for that reference. So, a little bit weird. And personally, if I was someone's wife, one day, God willing, I'd much rather have a hand-painted or drawn image that looks like crap than some weird AI-generated monstrosity with my face on it. And again, your drawings aren't bad, so you don't even have that excuse, you just don't want to do it. Anyway, from here he talks about which generators you use, and I'll skip forward to what he actually gets to his process.
People assume that once you have Stable Diffusion installed, all you need to do is copy someone else's prompt and start spitting out incredible results. This is very far from the truth. Stable Diffusion comes with a base model, which is a set of training parameters that kind of encompasses the brain of the image generator. There are hundreds, going on thousands, of different AI image generating models made by the community at large, and experimenting and finding the best models to achieve the vision that you want is actually a very important part of this process.
Except again, the fact that there's no reason whatsoever you can't just put in the exact same prompt and get nearly identical results. They're pulling from the same database of mostly stolen art with some base models as a reference at best, if even that. And you might argue they won't be exactly the same, but go ask any artist to draw the exact same drawing twice in a row. It's nearly impossible. that doesn't mean then that you are suddenly some artistic entrepreneur. It just means that, if anything, the AI itself is the artist entirely, which is a point I'll come back to later.
Starting with a full descriptive line of the image gives far more weight and guidance to the prompt. This doesn't work with all models though. You have to know the best prompts that work with different models. Then I have the line trigger word that generates my wife's face. This trigger word will literally achieve nothing in models that are not trained off of my wife's face, and so for the majority of these first generations this is doing nothing. Then I start with guiding keywords. These are all very important guiding words of elements that I want in the prompt, and some might confuse you a little, like armor and sci-fi armor, metal top. The type of Supergirl image I want is one that has a more sci-fi looking Supergirl outfit, with detailed gold accents on the top and belt and boots, and these keywords are the exact type of thing that will heavily influence the output.
Okay, never mind, I'll get to it right now. What you're describing is not art. You're at this point commissioning an artist. When I asked Jazza Draws, or Riccardo Federici, or whoever for a commissioned piece, I'll stipulate to them the parameters of the project. Let's say I want to see Thor, bloodied, holding his stomach in front of a cave opening, ready to fight to the death whilst the Hulk peers out from the shadows, just for an example. As the process continues, usually they'll update me on the progress of the artwork, and I give feedback on how I think it's going, what to change, what to keep, what I like about it, until I'm happy with the finished result. And not every commissioned artist is going to give you updates as the project goes along, but usually it's an option. This is essentially what you're doing here, except you're claiming that you then made the picture, which you frankly didn't. You're best acting as an art director, and that is really pushing the definition here.
My AI generated images have a particular look to them, and it's the result of the way that I prompt, and I prompt this way because it gives me the results that I want. This is not random. This is not random.
What nigga, you laughing?
I mean, what else can I say to this, genuinely? Without being primed to already know, could you even tell that this was an AI-generated image that Shad M Brooks prompted? If you said yes to that just now, no, you can't, and you're lying, because I just googled AI-generated Supergirl, and I'll grant most of you probably saw that coming, but honestly, where is this unique style he keeps talking about? Does he think he invented hyperrealism with AI? His unique style is at best different lighting, and God, we will touch on the lighting. I'm so tired, genuinely. If I wasn't determined to make this video, I would stop here, because I really can't stand watching this much longer. Beyond insulting my passion, it's just so fucking boring. Like, Shad, please, practice brevity. This video did not need to be 38 minutes long. Even some of the response videos you've gotten have been shorter, and I applaud them for slogging through this. Be brave, Max. Be brave. Be brave. I'm just gonna time-lapse here. That's fair, right? I'm still showing the video. It's not a cop-out. See, I made a long-ass video too, all by myself. I'm a 1 million subscriber YouTuber now. And see, that's how it works, doesn't it? I have 1 million subs. I'm famous. I think you can kind of see what my issue here is pretty clearly. But in essence, he's just repeatedly generating an image, doing some frankly appalling touch-ups on Photoshop, like some of the most basic baby-pilled paint job and editing I've ever seen, and feeding it back into the algorithm until he's happy with the end result. Along the way, he keeps saying,
I'm a perfectionist, and I'm an artist. This is the difference between someone with an artistic eye, an eye for proportion and detail, versus someone who doesn't.
And some other stupid shit. Like how Supergirl's top should look more like armor, which doesn't make any sense. Why is she wearing armor? She's Supergirl, she's invulnerable. And I just can't, man. Like, look at the end result. Shad's artistic eye for detail apparently didn't catch that her head is way too big, shoulders way too wide, and that there are 2, probably 3 suns in the image, given that she's being lit from the front and back, and the fact we see one sun at the bottom of the horizon, and light from another sun lighting the top of the clouds at the top of the finished product. This isn't creating art, this is just feeding an image into a generator over and over until it pops out crap. I didn't create art by googling background remove and popping an image into the first link that popped up. I haven't created a new copyrightable material, I've used an online resource to edit an image. This is even more egregious because it's by its very nature stealing from other artists. It boils down to this. I go into a McDonald's and order a McChicken with no pickles. It comes out and there's not enough sauce on it, so I hand it back and say, hey, can I get some more sauce on this? And the 16-year-old puts on some more sauce. I didn't make a McChicken burger, did I? If I go to a mechanic and say, my car's making a gurgling sound, and they fix it, they hand it back and say, it's fine, it's fixed, and I go, well, now there's smoke coming out of the exhaust, and they fix that. Did I fix the car? The answer to both of those is no, I didn't. Some probably minimum wage kid whose dad forced him to get a job fixed my burger. Some overworked mechanic fixed my car. And he's probably really pissed at me, honestly. Whether I provided prompting or suggestions to their service doesn't matter, because they provided the service. This is the same with AI generation. I am no more an artist by using AI than I am a world-class master chef because I ordered from a 5-star restaurant. Art is a fundamentally human creation. We're the only species on the planet that can do it, that can create an image or creation to convey a meaning and share our unique experiences on the planet Earth. A monkey can scroll on a wall with his own feces if he really wants to, but it's not suddenly going to become art because it vaguely looks like a stick figure. There's no purpose, there's no message, it's meaningless. That's the unique value human beings actually bring to art that nothing else can. And why would you want to substitute yourself out of the process? AI art is so limited in what it can do, while it might make a vaguely pleasing image to look at the end result. Human beings have so much infinite potential to make something so unique and creative. And my advice to you is that if you really want to use AI image generators to make an image, go for it. I can't stop you. But just realize that it's not your art that you're using. It's millions of talented and passionate individuals who poured their soul into a canvas and shared it with the world, who spent years honing a craft into a usable skill, taking their passion and making something real out of it. Don't try to sell it or pass it off as your own creation. People will always tell me nowadays that they can't draw, or they can't paint or make anything, and I absolutely refute that, because yes, you watching this can do it. You can draw and paint like the greats, you can sculpt fine masterworks, you can do all of these things. It just takes time and practice, and you will improve with every step that you take. You've seen the drawings I posted on here a couple years ago. I think they're terrible. Garbage. But that's only because I've taken time to improve my drawing skills, and I can see that they're not up to scratch. And I understand that I might have marginally more talent than the average person, but that's only because I had a unique passion towards art from a very young age and actually honed that into illustrative skills. And of course it's something I'm passionate about, but it's something I'm passionate about teaching and showing other people to get into. AI doesn't give you any of that. It gives you a finished product that just takes nothing and means nothing and offers no value or growth as an artist. You don't learn or become better at art, and I get it. It's easy to look at the shortcuts and go, I'll just do that. And it can take a long time for some people to get as good as they want to be. And a lot of people genuinely aren't able to use their hands in a conventional method or might have legitimate disabilities that prevent them from pursuing a creative passion. Whatever the reason may be, there are lots of limitations. And again, if you really want to use the service, that's okay. But you have to understand that AI poses a genuine threat to artists' credibility and livelihoods. Whilst yes, nowadays it's looking like companies and even the general public are shying away from AI art, it still provides a much cheaper and faster alternative to hiring an actually skilled and talented individual, which a lot of companies might go for. But really, we have sacrificed so much to machine learning these days. What are we getting by giving away our creative arts too? And what are we giving up to get it? And for my closing thoughts, I just want to emphasize I don't respect Shad at all as a creator. Consider this an official denunciation, I guess, if it wasn't already clear. If you really want to delve more into his political leanings, you can have a look at Night's Watch and you might understand why I feel this way, but it's just a group of grown men whining about woke culture ruining their beloved media, about how Princess Peach wearing pants in the new Mario movie trailer makes it feminist garbage. I really would recommend steering clear though, just throwing that out there. I think we live on a beautiful planet that is slowly shifting towards rejecting the messages of spineless grifters like this. The man has based his entire personality around reviewing swords and medieval history, and even the Australian HEMA community, which as mentioned before is the historical European martial arts community, has disavowed him as a credible source on the subject while perpetuating false information regarding the period he has dedicated a career towards. And I wasn't joking in the intro, his book, Shadow of the Conqueror, so full of sexual assault and rape, it's genuinely disgusting. Especially when most of it is done by the book's main protagonist. It really screams author's thinly veiled fetish, and I'm just gonna leave that sentence there. I think that explains it perfectly well. So yeah, Shadiversity has Shad's stupid opinions, I guess. Shock horror. And it genuinely does suck. I really did used to love his videos, and honestly it's a stain on my conscience the pipeline he's dove headfirst into. But whatever. Swings and roundabouts. I have no enemies. But if you do want to see some actually talented art by a genuinely skilled member of the Brooks family, you can check out Jazza Draws, who is again going to be linked in the description. But otherwise, be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below. Extra special thanks to Big Willie for supporting me on Patreon, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Adios. But seriously, why is he a Mormon? He's Australian, it doesn't make any sense. Why is he a Mormon?